Hi, and welcome to another episode of Kuntarkis. My name is Michael Yon, and this episode is on StopWorldControl.com by David Sorensen. So, welcome, Kuntarkis, and what is this website about?
Well, it's about the truth, Michael. It's about revealing to the entire world, and he is all over the entire world with this website. And there are millions and millions of people all over the world that have actually woken up, and it's really interesting. But this site itself gives you the information that you need to understand all about the vaccinations, all about COVID, all about why the Russians actually invaded Ukraine, the real truth, not what the media has been telling us. The media are complete liars 100% because they are run by the elite criminals. In fact, most of them are owned by big, powerful business people who are part of this mass conspiracy by these criminals. And also, talks about the evil. It talks about maps throughout USA where it explains where it's actually happening. It talks about the centre of London, where one of the biggest setups in a 3-mile radius is an office, and it controls all the bad things that are going on throughout the world. They're all there. And these offices are all over the world, especially England, some parts of Europe, USA, and they do all their business from these areas. And what's really interesting is they're just like the Vatican. No one can touch them. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, wow.
Wow. And if anybody wants to really fully understand, now look, first of all, I know a very large populace has had the vaxxers. Some have had one, some have had 2, 3, 4. And look, that was your choice, and that's okay. No one's criticizing you or putting you down. The point now is for you to wake up and realize that we have all been conned by every government worldwide that has signed an agreement with the criminal elite to literally become part of the New World Order that's going to be run through by a single government in the WHO, which is World Health Organization. They literally run it. Now, one of the things I believe that's very important is knowledge. Knowledge will set you free, and especially if you're a father or a mother. Because if you have children, wow, that's going to be a really, really big point in the next few years. I'm going to give you a little bit of history first so you understand before we go into this. I have spoken about this with Michael on one of our episodes, but I just want to repeat it a little. Now, in Germany, when Hitler was coming up in the ranks and becoming basically a dictator of the entire German population, in 1933, he was set up by big, powerful business people that wanted to rule the world. Isn't that interesting? Mm. The interesting factor is how they went about it represents a bit of history, what happened in Caesar's day. It's sort of been taken from that in how to control people by brainwashing, which is so simple. I'm going to read about that very soon. But he took over 1 million children from German families, and he distributed them through different teaching schools to literally turn them against their own parents, their brothers, their sisters. And that is the honest truth. It's in history. It's written into history. Those 1 million became the young soldiers for Hitler's domination. He used mind control. Now, you can take a child, doesn't matter who the child is, from the age of, say, 3 or 4. You can be really nice and you can inundate them with suggestions, ideas. And over a little period of time, They will keep listening and listening and listening, and they will become, how would you say, brainwashed to your way of thinking. And this happens all over the world at a small level, at a medium level, and at a high level. And that's how Hitler controlled his armies, and they dedicated their lives to him. And that was sad, because nearly 70 million people perished because of one man's insecurities from being a young child. He grew up with anger, with hatred, and he wanted to rule the world his way. That's called domination. Now, we've got the same principle. These elite, these vicious criminals are using mind manipulation to control you as the public. Little by little by little, they'll tell you through a pandemic that there's this massive virus coming that will kill you and your children. You have to get vaxxed. We are the Health World Organization and we're here to help you. So they created all these vaxxers, but little did they tell you what was in them. Millions and millions of people so far have died. Now, I received an invitation, just quickly. I received an invitation yesterday by email from a company called Holy Family Services in Sydney, where my mother was staying before she perished, which was about a year ago. Now, the invitation, how it was laid out, I found it really strange because it said, we're holding a funeral services for a mass funeral. And I thought to myself, a mass funeral? So I read further, and 46 people, 46 elderlies died within a year, which, if you go back and search their records, that hasn't happened. And that's all over Australia, if not all over the world. I spoke to a funeral services person, and they told me it's literally increased about 10 times fold. People dying. Now, my wife sent me a photo the other day, and what it shows, it was actually a little video, sorry. It showed one of the coroners cutting the brain of a person, right? This big, long, elongated knife, and they're slicing through the brain. They opened it up and they pointed, and you see these big black type vessels that have exploded outwardly. They look like they're about 6 inches long all over the inside of the brain. Well, naturally, they're tumours. And what they call it is thrombosis. Now, I've also read just recently that the amount of people that have died because of their covert injection is horrendous when it comes to thrombosis. And that's not a normal procedure. So that means it's attacking the brain, causing mass blood clots. That's very interesting. But a mass funeral, I found that really curious, but I couldn't go to something like that. Anyway, let's get back to what Michael was saying. I was going to start reading a little bit more about the Stop Will Control. Now, as I read before, it said, meet the man who wants to rule the world and take everything from you. Now, there is so much evidence, real evidence, truth in evidence, on this person's website called stopwillcontrol.com that I believe it will awaken every single person that reads it to the truth of what is actually happening in the world. And the interesting factor is, the more people who become awake, the more these tyrants become scared and backtrack because they don't like that. Now, since the beginning of time, power-hungry madmen have attempted to seize control over the entire world. The Egyptians, the Asian emperors, the European warlords, the Roman emperors, Russians, British kings wage relentless wars trying to gain absolute power over the rest of humanity. And who suffered? The innocent bystanders, always, throughout every single war. And if you equal to who the people who fought the wars died against the innocent that didn't want the wars, you would find on a percentage level it was at least 40% higher than their deaths, which is really insane. One world empire succeeded the other. The Babylonians, the Persians, the Romans, the Chinese, the Spanish, the British empires all had one goal: conquer the nations, and if possible, rule the entire world. Now, what's happening today is from all that type of philosophy, which is negative, by the way. Now, the age-old desire for world domination is one of the most basic realities in the history of humanity. It goes back from what I would say 928,000 years, because that is the entire length of humanity's evolution. Many people in our time, however, have been led to believe that the dark desire to rule the world has somehow disappeared. Nothing could be further from the truth. The lust is more alive and dangerous today than ever before. New technologies and mind control by the omnipresent news media is creating unprecedented opportunities to enslave the entire human race without most people even realizing it. In the past, invading other nations was hard iron clashed against iron, and every blast was answered with another even louder blast. Today, the game has changed. In order to conquer the world, there is no longer a need for swords and spears or guns or even rockets. All the invaders need to do is tell the world that a terrible danger is threatening them. The most people will immediately surrender all their rights and freedoms in order to be safe. So what do you think of that one, Michael? What I just read just at that last bit.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something about the media, but yeah, threaten the world with something as a distraction, and then take over their rights and then use them. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. See, governments, as far as I can remember, governments always try to distract the public if they have created a dilemma. And they will then distract the public on something else so the public doesn't concentrate on what they've created. And that's been right throughout human history, especially with warmongers. But I just want to read that one again. This is interesting. All the invaders need to do is tell the world that a terrible danger is threatening them. And most people will immediately surrender all their rights and freedoms in order to be safe. That's pretty, how would you say, scary in a way. It means like we're basically mind controlled, aren't we? Now, after World War II, the psychopath Nazi criminals were prosecuted during the historic Nuremberg trials. Judges were puzzled by the fact that Hitler had been able to get the support from the majority of the German people for his insane and inhumane mass murdering of millions and millions of innocent people. Hitler's right hand, Hermann Göring, explained how they did this. He said it was easy. All you have to do is tell them they are being attacked and they will follow their leader, no matter what. This works in every nation. So basically, Göring was saying, just make the people afraid and they will do whatever you want in order to feel safe again. How true is that? They bring out the pandemic, people are threatened, and suddenly we got all these vaccinations and people feel happy again. But they're not questioning anything to all the people that are dying, and how the media is telling everybody to get your vax shot because you're causing problems for other people. But what they're not telling you is that the ones who are vaxxed are the ones who are spreading it and getting it themselves. And that's interesting. This is an interesting statement. "O thou great and mighty Lord of the news." Now, how long or how many of us could we admit truthfully that we sit down and we listen to the news and all the drama, all the stupidity of what they're talking about is always negative? How many people talk about that for the next few days? It becomes a hot topic. The tool to make the entire world terrified of some terrible danger is the news media. With news media, you can control exactly what the public thinks. News media is basically mind control. It's essentially the same thing. The news controls the minds of the people. Most people brainlessly believe anything they hear on the news. Take COVID, for example, a disease with a survival rate of 99.7%. Say that again, survival rate of 99.7%. The other 3% die through maybe a few different things. Bad lungs, a history of illnesses that can't be rectified, so they die. Yet the news media inflicts such terror on the minds of the masses that many drove around in their cars all by themselves wearing a dirty, bacteria-infested cloth over their mouth that keeps pure air out and toxic air in. They even bring you their babies and beg you to please inject them with the experimental drug, untested gene-altering cocktail of various undisclosed toxins. People will literally do anything, no matter how devastating it is to the well-being of themselves, even their loved ones and their fellow citizens, as long as it goes along with the mantra, this will keep you safe. You know the mantra, this will keep you safe no matter what. And that's how easy it is to actually brainwash people. Because of this, it has become a piece of cake for criminals, rulers, to submit the masses to their fingertips. This is especially true since they have full control over all mainstream media. They acquire it for their very reason. They acquire it for this very reason, to invade the mind of mankind and mold it exactly accordingly to their agenda. Wow. It's like saying, what is the supreme level of brainwashing? Supreme level of brainwashing. Although the lust for world domination has been the common theme throughout history, in our day, the mind control has reached such a supreme level that many don't even believe that there is a plan to rule the world. Ha, 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 ha. That's a conspiracy theory. They echo loudly, brainlessly, repeating what the Lord of the News has told them. What do you think of that statement, Michael?
Ha, 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 ha. Yeah. I mean, yeah, people, if that's what they're exposed to the most, like whatever the news, whatever happens to be showing on social media, whatever, that is their main and biggest influence.
That's right.
So
that's right. I just want to read that again so people can actually fully understand what a conspiracy theory actually is. It's not you or I creating a conspiracy theory. It's actually these criminals that create it to make it look like it's bad on us, that we're doing it. And that's what's really interesting about brainwashing, mind control. And it goes, ha, ha, ha. That's a conspiracy theory. They echo loudly, brainlessly, repeating what the lords of the news has told them. Those who know history are stunned by such a display of stupidity, yet it is the perception of the majority of the public. Try to explain how powerful people with unlimited financial resources are planning to dominate the world, and may even give you a blank stare, as if you just claim the moon is one giant ball of vanilla ice cream. That's quite funny, isn't it?
Mm.
The supreme level of brainwashing is when an entire population calls humanity history a conspiracy theory. I like that. That's really good. Who are the present day criminals who lust for world domination? They're called World Economic Forum, WEF. They are one of the most evil organizations on the planet today to what they're actually doing. And they have set these organizations up and literally infiltrated them to a point with money so they can literally control the world. And they've realized through the WHO, which is World Health Organization, and the WEF, they can literally control everything and everyone. We know that our world has suffered under the cruel obsession of merciless emperors in the past, dictators. But who are the present-day tyrants desiring to gain complete control over the world? In other words, who are these criminals of our time? There are two answers to this question, a simple version and a more complex one. The easy answer is that, on the surface, the leading entity aiming at world domination is, guess who? The WEF, World Economic Forum. The WEF controls the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and many other globalist organizations. It gathers thousands upon thousands of billionaires and millionaires under its wing and uses refined methods of mind control and manipulation to convince them to go along with their agenda. Through mechanism of election fraud, they position world leaders in politics, and with their vast financial resources, they are able to determine the direction of healthcare, business governments, and finance, and etc. Do you like that, Michael?
Yeah, it's actually, I can't help but think, I was looking at this website last night, and one of the sections I was in was talking about the ultra elite, like the Rockefellers and such, and how these people for a long time have actually been financing royalty, like the big leaders on all around the country. They've been financing them for, say, wars and stuff. And then is that right that the royalty literally owe like the Rockefellers money because of borrowed money?
Yes.
Wow. So they have them under their thumb as well.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And you know what's really interesting is somewhere I read that under stopwillcontrol.com, they have literally approached all governments around the world, but just say a few particular ones, and have offered anything up to $400 million or even more to actually follow their agenda. And that's why someone like the Scott Morrison government brought out all the mandates and made it so hard for everyone and caused hundreds of thousands of Australian businesses to close. And that is their agenda. They want all the small businesses to close that interfere with companies like Woolworths, Coles, Aldi's, all of them. They want the Bunnings, they want them all to close these smaller stores. So these major big stores that these elite criminals own the majority of shares to literally make hundreds of trillions of dollars by wiping out the small business people. And that's really sad.
Wow.
It's like saying the World Economic Forum has literally positioned itself as the big bully over all of humanity. And people have to wake up and realize this is nothing but truth. There's no conspiracy here from anyone like myself or you or anyone trying to bring knowledge to the people to set them free. Because at the moment, there are hundreds of thousands of millions of people who are so dumbed out through stress, through vaccines, through very bad food that they've been consuming, they can't think straight. They can't even make the correct decisions. That's why they're all getting sick all the time. And they know this. These criminals know this. Their official agenda for world domination is called the Great Reset Agenda, 2030, Agenda 21, Built Back Better, and so on. Although no one has elected or even asked for the WEF, they have positioned themselves as the god of this world, ruling over governments worldwide and telling all of humanity what to do. And if you don't, look out. The WEF invites the world's most influential people, ranging from kings and presidents to bankers and CEOs of the largest corporations worldwide, to their yearly meetings in Davos. During their conferences, they discuss the future of our world and strategize how they can steer humanity in the direction they desire, all outside of any form of democracy. The voice of humanity doesn't count for them whatsoever. And that's really amazing. The untouchable rulers of the world, Michael. How's that sound? The untouchable rulers of the world. No law, no government, no police, no army or troops can touch them. Whatever they say goes, and that's that. Isn't that scary?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
As I said, the WEF is the easy answer, as they are the visible entity on the worldwide theatre stage for ignorant public. The World Economic Forum is, however, not an independent entity. It is in turn controlled by concealed financial entities. Those greater powers is obscurity, by concealing themselves and operating solely from within the shadows, and that means the dark shadows. They are able to manipulate everything that happens on the visual stage of the world theatre. Financial resources allow them to spread their tentacles of influence into every aspect of society. They are referred to as the cabal. Now, let's just go back, not quite 2,000 years. Let's say when Jesus was alive. In his society where he was born, there was, I don't like using the word religion, but that's what it is. It's called the Kabbalah or the Cabal, but it was the Kabbalah. Now, the Kabbalah were the ones that conspired continuously within the people's society to turn them against Jesus, calling him an evil prophet of the devil. That's what they called him, the evil prophet of the devil, because he was knowledgeable, and they had no comeback to that sort of supreme knowledge because they were ignorant anyway and very fearful. Today, they are referred to as the Cabal, and they are a secret organization, very secret, and no one basically meets them. They stay right behind in the darkest corners, but they spread their poison spider webs everywhere worldwide. The headquarters of these criminals are in a so-called sovereign states, like the City of London, sovereign area in the heart of Greater London, the District of Columbia, sovereign area in Washington, D.C., and of course, the Vatican City State, sovereign area in Rome. Now, unfortunately, I can't show people this because it shows a map of all the different places, sovereign states, City of London. That's what I was talking about from the beginning, about 3 kilometres in diameter or 4 kilometres in diameter.
So what does it mean? Like, if you're in a sovereign state, are you somehow protected by...
You are. No one can touch you.
Okay.
Okay. They can't... It's like a contract being signed. The Vatican signed a contract with the Italian government, say, that they can never be attacked. But because the Vatican, evil priests, or whatever they were back then, they said, well, maybe we should not trust them. Maybe they can attack us. So they built all these exit tunnels all around, and they went for, like, say, 3 or 4 kilometres in some areas. Yeah. And that's why no one is allowed to go down into those tunnels, because of what is actually buried there, but also where these tunnels lead. And there is a suspicion that all these tunnels lead to other churches right throughout Rome, so they can actually exit and get out and save their lives. Mm. But it's basically saying when a sovereign state, no one can attack it. It's just something they will not do. Right. And that's like the elite. No one can touch the elite. And I don't understand that The proof is evidence that there are millions of people worldwide that have been murdered with these vaccines. Literally murdered. Genetically modified, engineered vaccines. And they have no idea, never been tested, but they're just thromping them into everybody's body. And all these people are dying. Mm-hmm. And yet they can't be arrested. That doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, it's clever of them. Because they set up rules, laws, whatever, to say, yeah, whatever happens with the vaccine, we're not going to be held liable in any way. It was very, terrible and deceptive, but clever as well.
Yeah. But
they can't get in trouble.
Exactly. But they have done this right throughout human history. And that's what's really interesting.
What was it that you said about Caesar? What happened in the time of Caesar?
Well, Caesar, everyone makes Caesar out to be this really good person. And even though he did a lot of good things, he was actually a dictator. And he was murdered by his own, basically his own senators. Let's call them senators. They all stabbed him to death all at once, every one of them, so they couldn't be charged. And they weren't charged. That was really interesting. But his philosophy was used in the time of Hitler. And his philosophy has been carried through human history from that time and is being used today. How to manipulate the average person into submission. And that's what nearly every person around the world is being brainwashed.
It's kind of the manipulation. It's fear, isn't it? It's using fear.
It's using fear, yes. And that's why when I spoke in the last couple of survival of humanity, I spoke so much about becoming an individual, working to come from the heart, working to become strong within yourself and say, I can do this. I believe in myself. I am something. My children are something. I can be a better person. But what they want no intelligence, no individuality, no love. They want you to be a moron, simply. And I want you to be, a yes man all the time, never to say no. Because if you say no, that means you're defining them and they'll kill you. Because that's what happens in a dictatorship. And just recently in China, a young man decided to protest and he went all the way. He's disappeared now. He's gone. Yeah. But apparently he's also incited a lot of young people. So something big could come out of this. And it's all against the dictator that's there at the moment that rule the country. Okay. Another example of such sovereign state is the Bank of International Settlements, which oversee more than 50 central banks. Central banks control the commercial banks used by the public. They are one of the most powerful financial entities in the world, putting many strings of world domination behind the scenes. To show how criminals these sovereign states are, we will look at 1987 headquarters agreements, which was negotiated with the Swiss Federal Council to formalize the special position of the Bank of International Settlement. These are a few noteworthy articles from this treaty. All the buildings of the BIS and the land beneath and around, indifferent to who owns them. Full immunity from criminals and civil prosecution and proceedings for the banks as such. No payments of taxes on transactions and salaries of personnel. No disclosure to governments regarding the activities of the BIS. Not subject to any jurisdiction. So basically what you were saying before, like what gives them the power of being a sovereign state? Well, these are the things that are laid out and it's been agreed upon, so they can't be touched no matter what. The only way to deal with them is to remove them and take away all their financial assets and basically vaporize them because they're criminals and they're evil and they've killed hundreds of millions of people. In fact, billions over many, many years, because all they've done is reincarnated, and it's always the same thing. Immunity is granted to other sovereign states like the City of London, the Vatican City State, and the District of Columbia. These independent states within a state are above the laws of land in which they are situated. They pay no taxes, answer to no government, and are literally untouchable. The vast majority of humanity, even most political leaders, have no clue that these sovereign states even exist, let alone rule the world. All we know and see are the public personalities, like politicians and businessmen, who are mere puppets of these concealed puppet masters. Their strength is complete obscurity. By remaining hidden from the views of humanity, they are able to operate unchecked without even being accountable by the people. The World Economic Forum, United Nations, World Bank, World Health Organization, and all other big globalist entities are set up by these hidden rulers. The public never sees or hears them, yet they determine what happens in the world. Many in-depth books and web articles have been written about these entities. One great resource you can download for free is shown below when you get onto their website called stopworldcontrol.com. And you just go to whatever you want to go to and read up and just keep reading until you feel anger inside of yourself to what these criminals have done to the entire world, and then work out and get together and say enough is enough, and write letters to your politicians, to your police, to the federal police, to all the government officials, to all your senators, and say, we will not follow anymore. This is enough. And let's face it, if the people all stand up, these criminals, they're so weak and cowards, they're going to run like hell. And that's the truth.
Yeah, we've discussed this kind of thing before, that we are the greater power if we only got together and realized that we were giving into fear. The people are the greater power.
Absolutely. Now, this is interesting, Michael. What's coming up next is this is good, because this is actually happening right now. And the man that has been doing it is, I cannot pronounce his name because it slips my mind. He's a German lawyer. And top experts from the British Intelligence Service, British Navy, US Marine Corps, World Health Organization, United Nations, the CDE, etc., have testified before 11 lawyers and a judge about the official plan for world domination by the financial elite, who operate from within sovereign states within the state. These expert testimonials are summarized by a grand jury evidence, which you can download for free. And what it shows is the grand jury evidence 1. And it shows you the lawyers, the scientists, the doctors, all these different people, even from the WHO, people from within it that hold prominent positions, have gone up against and given evidence to what the world domination organizations are trying to do. So this is pretty big stuff. And you can download all the evidence and share it, spread it. What you can also do now, which I've been doing, you can download brochures that David has actually created. And it explains different things. And the idea is, if you share that and people read it, and enough interest is created by going to his site, then the world is going to become more open to the lies and deceit. And their agenda will fail 100%. And the world will come back to the people with a government that's elected by the people properly, not fraud, and the world will start to feel better. Opportunities will become greater. So it's an interesting thing anyway.
This stopworldcontrol.com certainly isn't lacking in content.
No,
It just like you scroll down and you're reading, and then you're scrolling down and you're reading. You're like, holy hell! There's more scrolling to do. There's so much
absolutely.
content, and then it also goes in like there are spots where it says, if you need more proof, here's a video. And you see
Exactly.
this video that goes for, say, I watched one that went for like 13 minutes, and then it went further down. If you need more proof, here's a video, and it went for 3 hours from
I know.
YouTube.
I know. I listened to that one too.
Oh, I mean, that's fantastic. The content that David's put on here is fantastic. It's not just it's not just a site saying, "Oh, this is the bad stuff that's out there," and yeah, watch out and whatever. It's like it's real content and proof, and
That's right.
yeah,
That's
it's
right.
good.
This is interesting too. Just I'm actually going to finish up very soon, but just to give them a little bit more, the World Economic Forum cloaks itself with the white garments of shining statements like improving the state of the world and global goals for sustainable development. Making the world a better place is, of course, praiseworthy. What is less applaudable is the fact that the WEF was clearly involved in planning and orchestrating the pandemic to begin with, in order to manipulate humanity into accepting their great reset. And it's also got, see the documentary, The Plan. Now, The Plan is really scary. I watched it. It just shows you the truth. And so the plan shows how the World Economic Forum and other globalist entities have planned multiplied pandemics with the purpose of implementing worldwide tyranny. I mean, these people, seriously, under the law of the Commonwealth in Australia alone, could be charged with not just mass murder, but tyranny, terrorism, and probably 1,000 more other things because of what they've done. We're standing back and saying, we don't know what to do with ourselves. We're hopeless and we're so dumb it's not funny. Just take over. You can take my children. You can rape my children. I don't really care because I've had it. I'm sick of being responsible. And I've had so many people say to me through consultations very similar things. And I think to myself, my God, hey, this is your life. This is your children. Your children are your future. When you're gone, then they'll have children and they'll be gone. The whole point is making the life of a species like humanity something to be proud of, something to work towards, to betterment of the entire species, not just one single person. But these tyrants, they want to rule you. They want to kill 45% of the population of humanity and then control the other ones by making new tech robots out of you, where they can control your every thought, your dreams. They can literally see your dreams, your thoughts, your actions, even when you're having intimacy. So there's no privacy. And everything that you have, if you have a beautiful boat, a beautiful car or cars, if you have a beautiful house, if you have holidays where you go for and enjoy yourself, and you've worked, say, for 50 years for that, everything that you own, even your clothes, you'll be renting from these tyrants because they are money driven 100% when it comes to complete domination. And that's what's really sad. And that's why people, you got to wake up, you got to put aside your egos, and you got to read, and you got to look at the videos and realize it's pretty bad. And this last part, their intention for world might not be admirable as they appear on first sight. Let's have a closer look at some of their global goals for sustainable development. For example, the goals: global governance and internet governance. These speak for themselves. The WEF want to establish full control over the entire world in everything that you do, and they wish to be the ones who determine what information is allowed to be given to you online. And again, you'll see this. Below is WEF's wheel, which show how COVID-19 pandemic is being used to transform every aspect of a human's life on Earth. Their goal is to gain full control over business, health, and information. And that plan, you've got to see it. World Economic Forum. It's not a mocked up thing. It's real. And this was created quite a long time ago. So, Michael, if there's any questions, we might just leave it at that.
Oh, well, I just wanted to know, like, how is David Sorensen still safe and hasn't been taken to court or anything like that?
Well, he hasn't been taken to court, but he's been charged. He's been threatened dozens of times. He's fears for his family, he fears for his own life, but he also fears for his family life. And he literally gave up a career that would have put him up on top, because he said he had a premonition of what was going to happen to the world. And he loves humanity. He's like me. It's interesting. He loves humanity, and he wants to see the human species grow consciously, grow in awareness. And so he's literally given up his career and he puts full time into this. But how he survives is through donations. And, you know, like, this is the most worthiest cause to donate something to, whether it's small or whether it's medium or large. But it's worth it. It's really worth it, because your lives, your children's lives, are 100% at stake. It's not a joke. It's real.
Wow. Well, thank you, Kuntarkis, for sharing with us stopworldcontrol.com. And if you have a comment about this, if you have something you'd like to say about this, or share with us, or ask about this or anything else to do with the episodes from Kuntarkis, then send us an email to kuntarkis@gmail.com. You can find out also there's more about Kuntarkis on etcconsciousness.com, and we also have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Kuntarkis. So that's it for now. Thanks so much for listening, and stay tuned for more.